Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel to find a real China and its people. Today we will start with the shocking news that the Business Insider brought to us on its website on January 29, 2021. According to that report, the US military admitted on Friday that Chinese bombers had recently simulated an attack on the Roosevelt aircraft carrier in the South China Sea, and this confirmed an earlier report by the British Financial Times. Last Saturday, January 23, 2021, when the USS Roosevelt's strike group entered the South China Sea, the Chinese military sent its H-6K bombers, J-16 fighters, and one Y-8 anti-submarine aircraft to cruise in the southwest airspace of Taiwan. Tracking data showed that, when the Roosevelt aircraft carrier battle group entered the South China Sea via the Bashi Channel, Chinese fighter jets entered the airspace of southwest Taiwan to cruise. The British Financial Times reported earlier on the 29th of January 2021 that Chinese bombers and fighters simulated an attack on the Roosevelt aircraft carrier battle group. Financial Times reported that the Chinese bomber pilots also confirmed the command to strike at sea and simulated launching anti-ship missiles. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command spokesperson Captain Mike Kafka said in a statement, "The United States will continue to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows, and we will demonstrate our resolve through our actions in the region." A U.S. defense official stated that the Chinese military plane did not enter within 250 miles of the U.S. Navy ship, which exceeded the range of the Eagle 12 anti-ship missile carried by the H-6K bomber. The official stated that there was a mock attack. Chinese netizens got very excited when China's official news outlet, Global Times, reported this incident in Chinese. Currently, among the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, China is the only country that has not yet completed national reunification, but 179 countries around the world have established formal diplomatic relations with China mainland, accepting One China principle. In other words, most countries in the world agree that China will complete the great cause of reunification. The latest developments in the South China Sea highlight the challenges the new Biden administration will face as it deals with Beijing and China's growing military power. Here we still maintain that China's President Xi Jinping will try to reunify his country during his tenure, as he wants the Chinese people to remember him forever because of this historical glory, instead of passing it to his successors. The new Biden administration and China have already had several rounds of disputes over Taiwan. During Monday's press briefing, Zhao Lijian told the U.S. to refrain from sending any wrong signals to the Taiwan Independence Forces, so as to avoid damaging China-U.S. relations, and also the peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, after the U.S. State Department criticized China's efforts to pressure Taiwan militarily, economically, and diplomatically. The U.S. State Department issued a statement on the 23rd, threatening China mainland to stop pressing on the Taiwan authorities. However, when describing Tsai Ing-wen's administration, it referred to her as the elected representative of Taiwan, obviously with a lower key than expected. Chinese Ministry of Defense spokesman Wu Qian said Thursday that Chinese military activities near Taiwan are necessary, and he also warned that it would mean war if Taiwan pursued independence from China. When speaking at the first Department of Defense press briefing of the Biden administration, Pentagon spokesman John Kirby reaffirmed support for Taiwan's defense, but he also said that tensions need not lead to anything like confrontation. This means the Biden administration does not want to irritate Beijing at this moment, when the U.S. has so many troubles domestically. In response to the USS Roosevelt's entry into the South China Sea, on the 23rd of January 2021, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said at a regular press conference on the 25th that the United States frequently sent ships and planes into the South China Sea to show off its force, and it is not conducive to the peace and stability in the region. It does no good to regional peace and stability for the United States to frequently send military vessels and aircraft to the South China Sea to show off its muscles, Zhao Lijian said. This alleged mock attack was the first time in 20 years, showing that China's army physically expressed its impatience with the United States' constant interference in Taiwan affairs, signalizing the military power shift from the U.S. to China mainland in the Far East, although the U.S. does not want to accept it. As the 46th President of the United States, and also the helm of U.S. domestic and foreign policies, in the next 4 years, Joe Biden and his colleagues have expressed more than once that they need to adopt more euphemistic methods to deal with China-related issues, although they agree Trump administration was right, being tough with China. No matter who becomes the president of the United States, the deep state behind him will always be hostile to China, and the danger of military confrontations will not be mitigated. In its history of less than 250 years, the United States have been in 222 wars with various countries. But China has been focusing on economic development for over 40 years, without wasting one penny on wars at all. A lot of people are wondering whether China's army is able to defend its country and people, and the answer is yes, as the Chinese army has been constantly in war, with various natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, pandemics, and so on. In the whole world, Chinese PLA should be the only army that combats with natural disasters. Chinese people are actually also one part of the army, and this has been a tradition of modern China since 1930s, when China's Communist Party fought with Japanese invaders and Kuomintang government forces. When the West media criticize China for putting millions of Xinjiang people in concentration camps, they are wrong. Actually, military camps are everywhere in China, and all people in China can immediately become soldiers if the country is put at stake. As for the concentration camps, we will have further coverage later. In 2020, when China urged its 1.4 billion people to stay at home fighting COVID-19, every home became a fortress to combat with the virus, and no other country in the world can do this. It is already a war, and China won it. China has only one overseas military base, while the United States has several hundreds. China is historically an agricultural country, with no ambition to conquer other countries. In Ming Dynasty, Zheng He led a fleet visiting coastal countries for 7 times, but not even one of the countries he visited became the colony of the Ming Empire. If Chinese emperors had been as greedy as the Spanish, Portuguese, French, Netherlands and British conquerors, the total population of Chinese should be at least 3 billion, and its territory should be much bigger than Russia. In early December 2018, the U.S. Department of Defense released its report on the structure of overseas military bases. The report showed that the number of U.S. military bases in operation was 514. Compared with the number of more than 2,000 at its peak, this is already its lowest level since the end of World War II in 1945. As early as 2,000 years ago, Marcus Tullius Cicero already pointed out, "Whoever controls the oceans controls the world." The Spanish-American War that broke out in 1898 became an important turning point in the history of the United States. After defeating Spain, the United States took the Philippines, Guam, Cuba, and Puerto Rico, and established the first batch of overseas military bases there. It is precisely by relying on this frontier position that the United States was able to expand its power to the Asia-Pacific. Now it is pursuing an Indo-Pacific strategy to encircle China. The year 1945 was another turning point for the United States, and it became, and still is, the world's largest power with hundreds of overseas military bases. In 1991, its biggest rival, the former Soviet Union, collapsed suddenly, but because U.S. already spent tons of money on maintaining the numerous overseas bases, the United States also became the world's biggest debtor. If we say the U.S. government is the poorest one in the world, a lot of people will be shocked, but it is the fact. The U.S. government has been so hilarious for its sporadic closures, due to lack of money, in the past years. The Chinese government, however, is one of the few richest governments in the world, and most importantly, it does not need to go through countless debates before making decisions. If we dive deeper, we can find that China is so lucky to have 2 tutors at the same time: the United States and the former Soviet Union, and the social system it is using now is actually a mixture of the U.S. market economy and the Soviet political centralism. The U.S. and the former Soviet Union are like the 2 handrails of an ascending escalator, with the help of which China is rising quickly and peacefully. Next time, we can look at China's democratic centralism, which the West refers to as dictatorship. Leave your comments below if you have something to enlighten us. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with people you know. We publish videos on a daily basis, and will also publish long videos on topics viewers are interested in, once or twice a week. If you have anything want to share with us, please leave your comments below.